tomorrow, gets it to White. White releases another three, and Milford absolutely scorching hot.
Tamani feeling it now. That's his third three-pointer now.
This has been a strong commitment to defense for the Hawks through this first half. And Kelley able to tip it in at the buzzer. The steal, Pasquette gets it back, tries to bank it off the glass and gets it in. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome inside the gymnasium at Milford High School as Milford TV is happy to bring you coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics. This is Tim Coet on the call. A big matchup here in the Milford gym tonight as the Scarlet Hawks boys basketball team welcomes in the Attleboro Bombardiers. It is Davenport meets Kelley-Rex in the Milford gym here tonight, but for the Milford Scarlet Hawks, they're coming off of really what can be described as their best win of the season last Friday, as they were able to defeat the Davenport Division leading Canton Bulldogs by a final score of 50-37. And the thing that we've been continuing to hear out of Coach Seaver all season long is his search for that complete game effort out of his squad, and that was absolutely what he received in the Milford gym last Friday night. Milford keeping it close with Canton through the first half, and then ultimately they were able to pull away with a huge offensive third quarter, and then defensively they really clamped down on one of the better players in the Hockomock League in Devin Foster, really kept that Bulldog offense as a whole down throughout the second half, and it all totaled up to that 50-37 win, so a victory over the top team in the Davenport. Meanwhile, they will face a very tough test here tonight in the Attleboro Bombardiers, and it's been amazing to watch the action develop in the Kelley-Rex division. What we thought was going to be a division owned by Franklin and Mansfield this year after they both made it all the way to the state championship game in Division 1 a year ago. Attleboro comes into play tonight in first place in the Kelley-Rex standings. They are 12-2 overall on the season, already playoff bound. This has been one of the high-octane offenses in the league this season, so this will be a very tough defensive test for Milford in their home gym here tonight. It should be an outstanding matchup. The Milford Scarlet Hawks taking on the Attleboro Bombardiers, and we will have the opening tip for you when we come back next here on Milford TV. Right back inside the Milford gym, and time for basketball. The Scarlet Hawks and the Attleboro Bombardiers. Your starting fives for these two teams. First for the visiting Bombardiers, it is Kevin Velasquez, Mason Houle, Brian Sissio, Qualim Charles, and Tim Callahan. And for the Milford Scarlet Hawks, it is Brendan White, Brendan Saylor, Colby Perez, Jordan Darling, and Dom Schofield. Schofield and Charles lined up at midcourt, and that long reach of Qualim Charles controls the opening tip for Attleboro as they rifle the pass in down low. Now quick movement back outside, swinging it into the near corner for an early three-pointer opportunity. Very quick movement from Attleboro, but missing the shot. And then on the other end of the floor, Jordan Darling fed under the basket, but his shot gets blocked. And very quick pace up and down the floor through this first minute. Swinging it inside to Bryant Sissio, one of the leading scorers on this team, and then back outside for a clean look from three-point range. Tim Callahan getting the offense started. This is the second season in a row this matchup has played out on the Milford floor. Here's Perez, spin move, high bank off the glass, and it's good. See more and more as the season's gone on, Perez showing the willingness to play more towards the basket, not just a perimeter scoring option anymore. Schofield, good positioning, and he gets the charge. Milford's play down low is really going to be a huge factor tonight. You think back to when these two teams played last season. The Scarlet Hawks had that tandem of Caden Kelley and Andrew Fraioli under the basket that helped contain Qualim Charles throughout the night. Those two players not around anymore, and you would think that a lot of that defensive workload is going to fall on the shoulders of Dom Schofield. Perhaps Jordan Darling as well, but Milford without the same level of size that they had last season. Still early on in this first quarter. The inbounds from Milford, 14 seconds on the shot clock as they send it back out to Saylor. Now it's White with the jumper offline, and Charles rips down the rebound. Taking it up the floor, Mason Houle, a senior. Now the no-look pass cross court, and Charles under the basket, and the shot does fall. They'll count it, a chance for a three-point play from Charles. So he gets on the score sheet for the first time tonight. And a chance to give his team an early 4-point advantage. The Milford fans raucous as usual to start the game. Charles can't convert the three-point play. Milford with the rebound, and now Saylor sets the offense as he crosses midcourt. Sissio close in tow. Brendan White cutting to the basket. Charles nearly taking part of the backboard down as he blocked off the angle from White. Now back outside for Perez, no good. And the ball deflects into the hands of Bryant Sissio. Moves it ahead. This team's so quick with their passing. Another clean look from the near corner, hard ricochet out. And Milford controls the rebound. Now outside for Darling, he'll shoot the three. Milford trying to tip that rebound back out to midcourt in the direction of Brendan White, but it ends up in the hands of the Milford head coach, Paul Seaver. As I mentioned, happy with that performance from his team last Friday, but the real key for Milford moving forward is their ability to continue to build positive momentum. It's been such a problem for this team all season long. They've had just 1 point in this entire season in which they have been able to notch back-to-back wins. Charles whiffs underneath the basket that time. Looked to the refs for a foul call, did not get one. Now Perez again dribbles hard inside, releases the shot over the reach of Charles, but it does not land. And those back-to-back wins for Milford came all the way back in games 3 and 4 of the season. Since then, they have not been able to get any consistent momentum going. That was Houle who responds with the second three-pointer for the Bombardiers tonight. They open up an 8-2 lead. Milford sending the offense heavily through Perez here through these early minutes. Now Darling loses the dribble, gets picked off. Now it's off to the races up the floor. Saylor trying to get back there defensively against Kevin Velasquez. But he takes the foul, the second Milford foul of this first quarter. The first for Saylor. And we'll see an early timeout called for here. So Attleboro right now bringing all of the energy and speed on the offensive side of the floor that we expected to see. This is an offense scoring well over 60 points a game. And so Milford already with their hands full, talking over strategy with Coach Seaver. We'll pause for the rest of this timeout, back with the final 4:28 of the first quarter after this on Milford TV. Free throws out of the timeout for Kevin Velasquez, one of the three captains for the Bombardiers, along with Mason Houle and Bryant Sissio. And when we covered this matchup last season, we talked about the youth on this Attleboro team. It still exists. Not a lot of seniors on this roster. Velasquez and Houle, the only two seniors. Everyone else a junior. It's a junior-heavy team with a couple of sophomores and freshmen mixed in. So not a lot of changes will be made on this team in the next couple of seasons. So this is a good, talented team that will be a factor in the league for a couple of seasons at least. We've seen some missed opportunities for Attleboro to really tack on to this lead early on. They lead it by 8, and Milford able to answer now. Danny Corsini enters the game. He knocks down his first three, a really good sign to see Corsini knock one down early. You know, that does a lot for his confidence, as he has been at times a huge weapon for Milford off the bench. The key for him has been finding that stroke. Knocks down a big shot, and now the pass from Attleboro sails out of bounds, so Milford a chance to continue to chip into this early deficit. Here's Saylor. He has some room from beyond the arc. No good. And Charles again able to get good positioning to collect the rebound. High pass again. This time Sissio's able to pull it down. Now Velasquez into the corner for another three. No good. And Danny Corsini is able to get his hands on the rebound. Feeds his point guard. As we tick down to 3 minutes to play in the first quarter, still a 10-5 Attleboro lead. Long-range shot for Dom Schofield is no good. And again, the cross-court passes. Attleboro has been doing a good job of getting their outside shooters open from that near wing. Milford ends up getting the offensive foul, and now one of the Attleboro players slow to get to their feet. And so we will have an injury timeout here. It stops the clock with 2:55 to play in the first, 10-5. And we'll end up keeping it right here. We will not have an extended stoppage of play. I believe it was Bryant Sissio who was down on the court for a moment or two, but was eventually able to get up under his own power and head over to the sideline. So out of the game right now, one of their best scoring options as he gets attended to by the Attleboro staff, and right back to action now. 2:44 to play in the first quarter. Here's Perez, tried a quick release off of that pass from Saylor, but thought better of it. Saylor now bounce pass, trying to find Colby Perez. Nick McMahon in the game right now, replacing Sissio. And now Milford putting the pressure on in the backcourt, but the long football pass makes its way ahead for Attleboro. Milford able to get back in numbers. And the student section raises their voices again for the Hawks as the shot clock now ticking down. 10 seconds. As they loop the pass into Charles, had the size advantage on Brendan White, but White was able to stand his ground and draw another offensive foul for Milford. That's already their third now of this first quarter. And you know Brendan White is not going to back down from any battle. Certainly a lopsided one there, but he was able to get the better of Charles. Attleboro now with 3 fouls in this first quarter. And Corsini now loses his footing. McMahon able to pick off the ball and now pulls back. Bryant Sissio up and moving around on the sideline, so we'll expect to see him back there. Now Corsini nearly returning the favor with a steal of his own, but Attleboro recovers. Now out to the far wing for the three, and count it for Mason Houle, who's now up to 6 points in this first quarter. A couple of threes for the senior captain. And now under 90 seconds in the first quarter as Attleboro extends the lead to 13-5. Another bad pass. This time Perez able to recover. Releases a shot from the free throw line that is no good. McMahon slowing up the tempo just for a moment. This is a team that really can score from anywhere on the floor at any time, but Brendan White, good vision there, able to pick off the pass. Now Corsini all the way to the basket. Nice up and under move from Corsini. And 5 out of the 7 points in this first quarter have come courtesy of number 1. 36 seconds to go in the period. Milford forcing that shot clock down once again. 8 seconds left for the Bombardiers. In some trouble now, they feed it back outside. Strong move towards the rim for Velasquez. Can't get the finish. Now Charles and Jordan Darling go down. And right now the shot clock turned off as Milford eventually is able to win the basketball. Here's Saylor flying up the floor. Feed it into Brendan White, who was all alone under the basket as Charles was caught in the backcourt. And Milford able to put one more in before the end of the period. Attleboro with a heave at the buzzer that came dangerously close. And what a wild tempo to this first quarter. Milford able to fight back in the final minutes to cut it to a 13-9 score. So outstanding play through the first 8 minutes. We'll have second quarter action for you in just a moment here on Milford TV. Second quarter now getting started here in Milford. Milford able to cut it down to a 2-possession game with some strong play to close out the first period. Darling trying to make that power move in towards the rim, but just could not get the angle. Very quick pace to that first quarter. And more confidence out of this Attleboro team with some long passes back and forth across the floor. And it results in another three-pointer for Mason Houle. He has been a sharpshooter through this first half. 9 points now on 3 successful three-pointers. Darling now will try to answer, but his shot glances off the rim. Corsini gets his hands on the rebound. Another chance for Darling and another miss, but another offensive board. They keep feeding it back outside. Now swinging it around to Saylor, a couple of fakes. And now we'll feed it down low into Brendan White, who takes his time, still can't land the basket. And 3 opportunities for Milford to put it in the hoop, and they just could not get it done. Having a chance to play right now without Qualim Charles on the floor. It allowed Milford to really clean up that offensive glass, but they can't afford that many opportunities and not cash in. But Danny Corsini now, he continues to stay hot. 5 points in the first quarter, now a three-pointer to open the scoring here in the second. Attleboro a quick attempt at an answer, but no good. And right now Milford, a completely different story in terms of rebounding without Charles on the floor. He continues to rest. Now here's Schofield, he tosses up a 3. Maybe not the best selection for Milford there, and it allows Sissio back on the floor to grab his first points of the night. Looking none the worse for wear. Plenty of speed up the floor for Sissio. 6 minutes to go in the half. A 12-8, an 18-12 score, excuse me. Saylor now, his shot offline. And the foul called after that miss. Lorenzo Wilson out there for Attleboro right now, who's at 6'3", gets his hands on the basketball briefly there. As we mentioned, some good size up and down the roster for the Bombardiers. Little jumper, no good for Houle, a rare shot attempt from inside the three-point line. Now Schofield to Saylor, and now across the way, just barely handled by Brendan White, who misses on the shot. White not quite comfortable here in the first half. He has just 2 points. White a couple of games removed from that historic performance in Stoughton, where he collected a career-high 40 points. And thanks to some strong offense from Brendan White of late, he's skyrocketed up the scoring leaders. He is now second in the league in scoring coming into this week, as Wilson picks up the bucket for the Bombardiers. Brendan White at 16.4 points per game, good for second in the league behind only Canton's Devin Foster, who's averaging 19.8 points, but was held to well below that average when he was here in the Milford gym on Friday night. Bryant Sissio, 4th on that list of Hockomock League scoring leaders, averaging 16 points per game. Now the deflection, Brendan White gets his hands on it, has one man to beat, and Houle misses badly. It leads to an uncontested bucket for White. And now Wilson battling through a double team. Attleboro back into the hands of Sissio. Shot clock winds down, and then The lights-out shooting of Mason Houle continues. 12 points in the half. And now Saylor very badly misses on that shot. And Sissio again goes down hard. Saylor trying to get position. Sissio leaving his feet, sort of turned his body awkwardly. And he is down once again, and we will take the injury timeout this time with the score 23-14 in favor of Attleboro here on Milford TV. Finally set to resume action here in the Milford gym after an extended injury timeout. Certainly some scary moments there involving Attleboro junior Bryant Sissio, one of their scoring leaders, who went in awkwardly on that shot attempt. Looking as if he was trying to avoid the offensive foul. Milford has been so good at initiating tonight, and in doing so really contorted his body in a strange fashion and went tumbling down hard to the floor. And was down for several minutes, being attended to by the training staff. He's now made his way to the sidelines with the help of his teammates. And that is after having a scare earlier in the game as well. So it's certainly been a difficult night for Sissio. Trying to get back into the flow of the game, both of these teams. Milford with a miss from outside by Corsini. A couple of chances again underneath the boards, but now Attleboro will take over. With 3:24 to go in the half, it is a 25-14 lead for the Bombardiers. And now after an extended rest, Qualim Charles back out on the floor. Milford had cut it down to a 4-point deficit right at the end of the first half, but now that lead at about the largest it's been in the game at 11 points. But we'll see how the flow of this offense changes for Attleboro without Sissio on the floor. We had just moments before the injury talked about Sissio as the best scoring option on this team, the number 4 scorer in the league, averaging 16 points a night. They've gotten a tremendous effort out of Mason Houle, who will step to the free throw line here after the foul was called on Danny Corsini. Houle missing the free throw. There was some anger seemingly on the Attleboro sideline after Sissio went down, perhaps calling for a flagrant foul, but there was really no intent there to injure on Brendan Saylor's part. He had taken a defensive position. Sissio, trying to avoid the contact, ended up making himself vulnerable. Just an unfortunate result of a basketball play. Kevin Velasquez now with his second made basket. He has 6 points in all. He's 2 for 2 from the free throw line. Milford trying to gain some traction again before the end of the half. Here's Corsini able to free himself for another shot, but suddenly offline after he made a couple of big baskets early. Now out of the corner, count it from Velasquez. Some emotion from this Attleboro team. Corsini wide open, but short on the shot, tries to come in to collect his own rebound. He does, and then they'll call him for the travel. Got tangled up with Nick McMahon. Corsini to the bench. Milford out there right now with Matt Vardaresian, Jordan Darling, Ben Blanchard, Dom Schofield, and Max Martin. So a heavy bench unit for the Scarlet Hawks right now. Schofield and Darling, the only 2 starters out there. And also going small. Foul stops the clock with 1:32 to play in the half, as they call the foul on Tim Callahan. Attleboro still well below the limit with just 92 seconds to go in the half. Blanchard can't free himself. Back up top to Vardaresian. He'll cut to the basket. Just could not get the finish. Now the ball loose. Milford whistled for the foul. I believe they called it on Vardaresian indeed. Milford over the limit. Callahan now at the line. Attleboro 3 out of 5 from the line in this half. Milford has not shot free throws yet. And making a miss for Callahan. Danger zone now for Milford. They suddenly trail this game by 19. And now they turn it over. Milford anxiously awaiting the end of this first half. Able to come through with the turnover. And now Blanchard with just a sliver of space, and he's able to do something with it. 42 seconds left. Attleboro taking their time, and now the foul away from the basketball from Max Martin. And that will send Tim Callahan right back to the free throw line. And Coach Seaver looked like he called the timeout. And I beg your pardon, it was Coach Seaver getting the technical foul as he was allowing some frustration to spill over, not happy with the officiating in this game. And he ended up getting his money's worth with the complaint afterwards. Milford now with 10 fouls in this half. Callahan converts the free throws. And now it's Houle. So free baskets for Attleboro after the technical. And it's up to a 36-17 score. Shot clock turned off. Attleboro in no hurry. The 19-point advantage, dribbling the clock down to 10 seconds to go. Houle gets some space, and I don't believe he has missed from that distance in this entire half. Here's Vardaresian at the buzzer, and Matt Vardaresian able to get his first basket of the night to answer back, but Milford with a lot to talk about at the half. They went heavy on their bench through the end of that second quarter after the injury to Sissio, and Attleboro with a strong start to this game through the first half, leading it 39-20. So we'll see what Milford can do to make adjustments at the half. We will pause here and have the start of third quarter action for you next as you enjoy coverage of Milford High School boys basketball on Milford TV. Welcome back in for second half action between the Attleboro Bombardiers and the Milford Scarlet Hawks. The Bombardiers come in to the Milford gym, and they have come in showing every bit of the offense we expected to see, leading this game 39-20 as we get underway with second half action. Brendan White back out on the floor after sitting for the last several minutes of the first half. Immediately gets a steal and then draws a foul on the other side of the floor, but Milford still with an unconventional unit out there. They have White, Perez, and Schofield out there with Matt Vardaresian, who knocked down that big three to close out the half. He remains out there running the point, and Ben Blanchard, who logged some minutes at the end of the first half out there to start the second. Brendan Saylor has been on the bench since that collision with Bryant Sissio. Now, we didn't see any indication that Saylor was ejected from the game, but he has not been on the floor since, and it'd be a surprising decision if he had been ejected, again, given the incidental nature of the contact. Here's Vardaresian with a good steal. Can he get something out of it? He does. He converts the layup. And so the last 3 points of the first half and the first 2 points of the second half as Vardaresian heats up a little bit. Milford needing some production, missing a lot of shots in the first half. And an early timeout called for here. We will take the timeout as well. 39-22. Attleboro over Milford here on Milford TV. The ball back on the floor out of the Attleboro timeout. Still in the opening minute of this third quarter. It was a lightning quick pace to the first quarter, but since then the pace of play has come down, and certainly a lot of that has to do with the extended injury timeout we dealt with in the first half. Again, we certainly hope that everything is okay with Bryant Sissio, who we do not expect to see back out on the floor for the remainder of this game. He does not even appear to be on the sidelines at this time. White short on the three, and White has just not looked comfortable offensively tonight. He's had some very good games in this last 2-week stretch, but has been held in check. He has just 4 points so far this evening. Now feeds Perez, who has all kinds of time, and perfect on the shot. Danny Corsini was your Milford points leader in the first half with 8 points. After the steal, Perez got a little tangled up with the footwork on the way up and could not put it in. A chance to cut further into this deficit. Also had some missed free throws from Brendan White. We'd be looking at a very different score right now. And now fighting to the basket, Mason Houle. Houle leading all scorers right now with 18 points. Here's Blanchard from deep, and just short. It's become less of a surprise to see Blanchard shoot it from that distance because he has been able to make those with regularity. They feed it into Charles. Milford was able to block it initially. Charles ended up releasing a shot but missed. Now Perez under the basket. 5 points now in the third quarter for Colby Perez. And the deficit for Milford at 14. The Scarlet Hawks trying to flip the script to how this matchup played out last season. Milford came out with their hair on fire in the first half of the game against Attleboro last season, ended up taking a double-digit lead after the first quarter, maintained that double-digit lead into the half, led it by 11. But the Bombardiers turned on the Jets in the second half. It took them about 3.5 minutes to completely erase that double-digit lead as Schofield gets a nice block under the basket. And the Bombardiers ended up taking the lead in the fourth quarter after some back-and-forth play, and they were able to hang on for a 59-51 win. It was a very disappointing loss, a game that Milford let get away from them. But again, trying to be on the other end of a comeback victory against Attleboro this time around. Some work to do to get there with 4.5 minutes still to go in this third quarter. Here's Vardaresian shooting the lights out, but can't knock down the shot. Now a chance for Blanchard from the other side of the floor. That looked good going down, but no good. Now Perez will give it a go, and he gets it from 2. Perez is certainly the hot hand for Milford right now. And now another stop. Here's Blanchard. trying to beat McMahon to the basket. He gets there, and now it's down to a 10-point game. And another steal now for the Hawks. Pires leaving it outside for Blanchard, and now back out to Schofield. And a decided change in momentum in this game as Milford now turns it over. 3:47 to go. It was a 19-point lead for Attleboro at the half. Milford has managed to cut it down to 10. Needing to keep the pressure on the defensive side of the floor. It's been that defense that has led to some offensive chances for the Hawks in this third quarter so far. Houle, I believe that is his first miss from three-point range in this game, and it nearly went down. Now outside for Schofield, he misses everything. And now the Bombardiers ahead in transition. Charles, and Schofield able to get back, but he ends up committing the foul. Schofield flying up the floor for the chance at the block. But instead picks up the foul. 3 fouls now on Schofield. Charles 0 for 2 from the free throw line so far. Schofield with those 3 fouls now heads to the bench, so that size advantage for Attleboro getting even more dramatic with Milford's lone big man now on the bench. But Charles unable to convert either free throw attempt. Now here's Pires trying to float that one over the reach of Charles. Couldn't land the shot. And it stays a 10-point margin now, ticking under 3 minutes to go. Up top for Ethan Cameron checking into the game. Now Houle trying to clear himself from Pires. Instead drives to the basket and picks up another Milford foul. It looks like they'll call it on Pires. It's just his first foul. Milford up to 3 fouls now in this third quarter. Coach Seaver very unhappy with the fouls called against his team in the first half as that pass gets away from Attleboro, drifts out of play. Region continuing to run the point. And Brendan White burrowing his way inside, gets 2, cuts it to a single-digit deficit for the Hawks. Milford a lot going against them in this game. They're without the services of Saylor, who we can only imagine at this point was ejected after that contact with Sissio. So we have not seen him on the floor since. Brendan White has been held very quiet. That bucket puts the point total for White at just 6 on the night. But despite all those things, despite facing a 19-point deficit coming into this third quarter, the Hawks have now cut it to an 8-point margin with 2 minutes and 20 seconds to go. So this is a basketball game again. And for Milford, getting really deep into the second half of their schedule now, and with 8 losses already on the year, they simply cannot afford that many more defeats moving forward if they hope to make it into the playoffs, and it's not an easy schedule moving forward for the Scarlet Hawks. Their next game will come up on the road on Friday against Sharon, then they'll be back home in what will be a tough battle with Foxborough, who right now is neck and neck with Milford in the standings. Then it's a road battle with North Attleboro before they return back home for their final home Davenport Division matchup with the Stoughton Black Knights. And then it will be at Canton and then home for the Scarlet Hawk Classic tournament to end the season. So there are no gimmies on that schedule the rest of the way for Milford. So if they're going to make it into the playoffs, they are going to have to earn it. Hoping to earn a huge comeback victory here tonight. A little over 2 minutes to play with that score 41-33. Wide open from long range. And a sorely needed bucket on the Attleboro side, as they had been held to just 2 points in this third quarter. But a big response there to bring the lead back up to 11. Now the ball loose on the floor. Darling able to wrestle it away, but then can't get the pass off. And that allows Mason Houle to go coast to coast to get the bucket. And now all of a sudden a 5-0 run for Attleboro as they try to shift momentum back into their favor here in the closing minutes of the third quarter. Here's Vardaresian, a wild shot, no good. But Attleboro deflecting the ball into the hands of Ben Blanchard. Jordan Darling now getting contact. He's a bit shaken up as he heads to the free throw line. Milford has missed the only 2 free throws they have attempted in this game. Darling off the back of the rim and in. Just the first point of the game for Jordan Darling. Two for two, back down to an 11-point game. Milford putting the pressure on in the backcourt with less than 90 seconds to go in the third. Onto the hands of Kevin Velasquez. Outside now for Callahan. Now across the way, and now a quick feed in down low to Wilson. Wilson with the hook shot that's offline. Here's Perez now. He weaves his way up the floor, leaves it outside for Blanchard, passes up the chance, gives it back to Perez, who misses on the shot, but the rebound pulled down by Jordan Darling. Now a chance and a good look on the near wing for Brendan White, but he just can't knock it down. Milford trying to find a way to cut this back down to a single-digit lead for Attleboro before the close of this third quarter. Up ahead to Cameron. Cameron and Velasquez go back and forth. White guarding Velasquez. Now into Charles. Charles timing that jump. It's just the second bucket for Charles. 4 points on the night. And Milford now with time winding down in the quarter, just 10 seconds left as Vardaresian sees his lane to the basket closed off. Darling saves the ball from going out of play. 3 seconds left as Perez has the ball knocked away from behind by Charles. A lot of contact there from behind from Charles on Perez, no whistle. And that ends up being the end of the third quarter, a physical way for the quarter to end. And so Milford will head into the fourth quarter, once again facing a double-digit deficit, 48-35 the score. We will have the start of fourth quarter action when we come back next on this coverage of Scarlet Hawks Athletics right here on Milford TV. Milford was able to outscore Attleboro 15-9 in that third quarter, but they still enter into this fourth with a big deficit to overcome as White is called for the travel. It's a 13-point Attleboro lead. The Bombardiers playing without the services of their leading scorer, Bryant Sissio, who sustained an injury in the second quarter. But their offense has continued to be difficult for Milford to handle as White swats that pass out of play from McMahon. It will stay Attleboro ball with 17 seconds left. And the inbounds pass finds Charles. And Schofield leaving his feet. He'll get called for his fourth foul. Charles continues to struggle from the free throw line. Milford had briefly cut the deficit down to 8 points late in the third quarter. As for a good chunk of that third quarter, they had held Attleboro to just 2 points. But as the Bombardiers have been able to do throughout this game, a late surge pushed them back into double digits, and now a 15-point lead. Schofield continues to play with the fouls, was able to get around Charles, but just could not elevate to get the shot. But here's Corsini, able to get the steal, and he'll head to the free throw line. Charles gets called for the foul. It's just his second. 5 fouls for Milford, 3 for the Bombardiers. Corsini with 8 points in the first half. He was held silent in the third quarter, and now with 2 points from the free throw line. Movement up the floor ahead to Mason Houle. Schofield able to hold him off until reinforcements arrived. As Velasquez now gets around White, floats it up over the head of Perez. The miss, Charles with the rebound, and now gets the assist as Velasquez finishes the chance. Corsini, awkward pass trying to find Perez, and Milford bailed out on the other side of the floor. Now Velasquez poking the ball away from Vardarezhian. Will stay Milford basketball. Found it from just in front of the scorer's table. Still a 15-point margin with just 6.5 to go. White falling down after releasing the shot, hoping to get the whistle. Did not get the basket or the foul. And Nick McMahon on the other side of the floor picks up his first basket. This game falling beyond Milford's reach at this point. Corsini able to get the bank shot. So good night for Corsini, 12 points. (54-39) score. Attleboro using the clock to their advantage. All kinds of space for Mason Houle, and halfway down it rims out, but White could not control the rebound, let it bounce out of play. And now kicking it to the corner for Callahan, no good. White is able to get the rebound this time. Foul going against Mason Houle. He has 2 fouls in the game. And the inbounds pass ends up eventually getting tracked down by Blanchard. Here's Blanchard. No good on the 3-point shot. White trying to get locked up for the jump ball, but Charles just too strong. Now McMahon. McMahon goes up, contested by Corsini. Corsini a little shaken up as he is helped to his feet. Ends up picking up his second foul. Jordan Darling on the bench for the Scarlet Hawks. As this fourth quarter continues, and Milford just not getting enough out of their starters tonight. Brendan White again still sitting on just 6 points. Jordan Darling only 2 points on the night. White taking a couple of steps inside the free throw line, hoists up the shot that is once again no good. With 4 minutes and 42 seconds, this game well in hand for the Bombardiers. As Velasquez misses. Milford trying to push the tempo. White just barely gets around that big paw of Qualim Charles to get the bucket. And timeout called on the floor, stopping the clock with 4 minutes and 26 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. 54-41, Attleboro in control over Milford here on Milford TV. Resuming action here with less than 4.5 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. And the Bombardiers continuing to tack on to the lead. Back up to 15 points as Ralph Franklin checks into the game. He's able to get the rebound. Perez well short on the three-point attempt. Milford was able to knock down a couple of long-range shots early in the first half, but they have been stone cold from long range since. Ralph Franklin Jr., the 6'3" sophomore. Not seen much of Franklin in game action this season. But Milford getting their depth tested here tonight. Blanchard, nothing but net on that deep three. Blanchard with 8 points off the bench tonight. Milford's gotten some good bench contributions. 18 points combined between Corsini and Blanchard. The problem is the starting unit has not been on their game. Without the services of Brendan Saylor for most of the night. Right back up to a 15-point Attleboro lead as they were able to respond with a three-pointer of their own. Foul on the floor. It's the 7th team foul for the Bombardiers. 3:05 to play. White able to make the free throw. This is on the second, 1 out of 4 from the line tonight. So you had a game tonight that featured the number 2 and number 4 scorers in the Hockomock League. And neither one of them proved to be much of a factor in the scoring attack. With Sissio out due to injury and Brendan White just out of sorts. Gets around one defender. Steps around Charles and able to get 4 points here late in the fourth quarter. The lead at 12 with less than 2.5 minutes to go. Attleboro again using the clock to their advantage and also using that lights out long range shooting. White trying to answer back, but you can just see that shot has been uncharacteristically off for White tonight. Milford gym about as quiet as it has been as the student section sees where this game is going. Mason Houle has to be having one of the games of his high school career. He has been a complete force from long range. By my score sheet, 28 points now on the night for Mason Houle. Colby Perez heads to the bench as White will shoot free throws. So it's going to be gut check time coming up for the Scarlet Hawks. We talked about that schedule. It is not going to get easy moving forward for Milford. They can only afford to lose one more after tonight. A lot of tricky spots on the schedule. They'll be at Sharon next, and then a week from tonight, they'll be back here at home taking on the Foxborough Warriors, and a lot of must-win games in there. After that, at North Attleboro, and then home against Stoughton, on the road against Canton, and then home for the Scarlet Hawk Classic, which will feature all non-conference opponents. Rest now for the rest of this game for Qualim Charles. Falling below his average in points scored, which coming into tonight was right around 14, but was able to do his job defensively. Now the pass too hot to handle for Attleboro's Ethan Cameron. This Attleboro team will continue to be a force to be reckoned with moving forward, and this was a team playing a bit shorthanded even coming into the game tonight. Speaking to head coach Mark Houle before the game, they had called up a couple of underclassmen to fill some active roster spots for this game, with some of their usual suspects out of commission. I believe Jason Weir, one of those players who we did not see at any point this evening. But still 66 points nonetheless. The final 10 seconds now about to tick down. And we'll see one more foul. Lorenzo Wilson shaking out the arm after the contact. He'll head to the free throw line with 9.7 seconds left. This is the free throw. It deflects into the hands of Vardaresian. Trying to get into position for one last shot. It'll come from Blanchard from long range. And he cannot connect, and that is the night. 66-53. Attleboro comes into the Milford gym, and for the second year in a row, and for the fourth year overall, Attleboro able to defeat the Milford Scarlet Hawks. And so with the loss, overall on the season now, Milford falls to 5-9, 4-7 within league play, and Attleboro with the win, they improve to 13-2 overall on the season. So that will wrap up our coverage for tonight. A big thank you to our Milford TV crew, our director Rob O'Keefe, and our camera operator Scott Crisafulli and Derek Birchtold. And I am Tim Coet. That final score, one final time, Attleboro defeats Milford by a final of 66-53. This has been a presentation of Milford High School Athletics here on Milford TV. So long, everybody.